This is Robert from Twin Peaks, and you're listening to Inspirado, Projecto. Got a light?
I just thought of a character who is just has no boundaries, no filter. They don't ever mean any harm. However, they'll just be in your apartment eating cereal and stuff. When you come home, they've always done something good. And you're just like, what the heck? But there's something about it. It's like, that's their specialty. They just want to, help out. And you're just like, what the heck is going on here? They're cleaning the place. They're making sure everything is, set up real good. The cats are fed. Lights are turned off when they should be. Stove is turned off when it should be. All that razzmatazz. Making sure there isn't anything empty in the microwave that's cooking. So, but they just have no boundaries. They'll just try your clothes on. They'll just start feeling up your wife. Just a very curious. You wonder what? No boundaries, and due to whatever reason, people just don't call them out on it, and they just kind of get away with it. It's like a character. It's like a character they can slip into. It's like some sort of permission slip that enables them, kind of like in Doctor Who, where he's got the perception paper. And he goes, oh yeah, I'm a security guard here at this factory. And there it is. They're like, oh yes, certainly, sir. Go ahead. It's like that kind of thing. So yeah, I just imagine a character like that and how interesting that would be to try to deal with them and then try to just get them out of your life. Because I can imagine someone like that is very nosy. Imagine it's kind of like one of those and this is probably where they first started getting the idea of, what was it? Basic Instinct? No, not Basic Instinct. What was it where there's that famous scene, Michael Douglas's rabbit gets put in the boiler. Glenn Close is in it. Basic Instinct? Is that what it was? No. That was with Sharon Stone or Hoo-Ha, right? Open legs, close legs. Open legs, close legs. The controversy of the century. The controversy of the century. So there you go. That's a very interesting character that just popped into my brain. I was watching Wayward Pines. I'm watching Wayward Pines, and there's a character that this guy plays. He's a sheriff, and he just shows up in the house. He's like making a bowl of cereal. Oh no, that's what it is. He's eating ice cream. Yeah, his big thing is that he's always eating ice cream. That's right. That's the genius aspect about it. This show is very much like Prisoner meets Twin Peaks. Very close to an idea I had for a... Well, I'm not going to say it. Yeah, parts Twin Peaks, parts of... I see little aspects of Army of Darkness, Prisoner. What's interesting is instead of Prisoner is on an island, this show is in a sense on an island, but it's a whole community that's surrounded by a big fence, big gate, by who knows who's beyond that gate. Nobody knows. So it's a big curious thing. You try to go out of town, it just takes you in a big circle. Yeah, good luck, buddy. Good luck. You're going ring around the pines. Okay, ring around the pines. Yeah, also mixed with the village. Yeah, mixed with the village because it's produced by M. Night Shyamalan, the guy who did The Village. So, you see elements. You see elements of all this stuff. But what's interesting is it comes from a series of books. So, I'd be interested in knowing how soon those books came out as to relation to Twin Peaks. So that's my 2 cents. Take care. Oh, yeah, you know what? Take care and keep the Inspirado flowing. And we look forward to talking to you next time. Take care. I was just reading that Chicago Ensemble book again, and there's a part in there where the guy is talking about how apparently in New York in 1986, tattoos were outlawed. So I'm going to look online here. Tattoos outlawed. New York, 1980. I'll just put outlawed. Let's see. What the hell? What? Did you guys know this? Those of you who live in New York must have known this. Dude. Okay. Tattooing was illegal in New York City until 1997? Oh my God. In 1961, it officially became illegal to give someone a tattoo in New York City. So, no way. That's interesting. That would be because apparently there's a whole exhibit. Oh my God, there's an exhibit in February 28th. What? Dude. Okay, I just read this today. This is February 29th, 2020. Okay? February 29th, 2020. I just read this now about tattoos being illegal in New York. This guy's talking about it here in this book. In Ensemble. Now, I go to search online just to see how much of this is true. And then I end up finding out that this article was printed on February 28th, which was a day ago in 2017. Oh, my God. So apparently they had something called Tattooed New York, an exhibition dedicated to epidermal art and its history that is on display through April 30th at the New York Historical Society Museum and Library. Oh, my God. Did any of you attend this? It says the show contained more than 250 objects, artworks, photographs, videos, other documents stretching from the early 1700s to now, including Thomas Edison's electric pen. Electric pen? The precursor to the tattoo gun, and a Norman Rockwell oil painting of a man getting inked. So, oh, interesting. I'd love to know the reasons. And how could you prove that you didn't get your tattoo in New York? Were there a lot of people in jail back then who had tattoos between the years 1961 and 1997? You know, usually when there's some kind of repression of that thing in society, people try harder to get around that. There's that innate, I think, feeling within us, that mischievousness to find a loophole. What's the loophole here? I don't want to speak for everybody. I do. That's why I don't watch regular news. I'm not immersed in regular media. I'm not talking about any of the information that has become commonplace. Maybe when people say, "Didn't you know that's?" I thought that was common sense. Well, what really is the sense? The sense is what people are sensing. What are they buying into? What are they scenting? What are they sensing? They're sensing something. What are they sensing? What are they actually putting value into? And then what that means is the value that they're putting stuff into is another sense. So there's a sense coming out. And then what leads people to want to value something? Is it when they hear something, when they see value from someone else's eyes, a well-trusted company, a company that has a good track record, a good street cred? So we will buy into, or if it's someone that we trust, someone that we have a closeness to. What are ways to hook those people in? Well, you talk to, let's say, a college they go to, or you talk to a particular political side that they are involved with, or a particular culture that really is important to them. Finding all those subcultures, pointing at them. The smallest subcultures, or so they might feel, there's this idea of wanting to grow, because there's this idea of wanting to have more people to be able to interact with that closely resemble those ideas and those feelings and that same mentality. So there's that idea of wanting to grow that, make that a bigger part of the society, reality system, a reality ecosystem. So there are all these reality ecosystems coexisting, and then you're finding the Venn diagrams between them, and what's favorable, what's unfavorable, what's a preference, what are you not allowed to say outside for fear of being, stoned with words, so to speak, from differing opinions. It goes back and back, and then not. In addition to that, you speak to, sometimes people do stuff just strictly on principle. That's how it always has been in my family. That's how it will always be, right down the line. I will not stray from that. We've always been sloth hunters. Now and forevermore, our family will always be sloth hunters. We've always been generations, ancestry. We go down the line, sloth hunters. We wear it. We wear that name loud. We wear that name proud, and we want as many people to know it as possible. We are sloth hunters, and we, protest against those who do not approve of sloth hunting. It's what we do. And we find philanthropists and donors, and we hold fundraisers. We show the importances of slaughtering sloths. We call it slothering. Within our circle, we call it slothering. We are on a continual mission to slaughter the sloth. Slaughter the sloth. Whoa, that would be an interesting horror film right there. You know how they had Seven? Sure, Seven had, went after all those things. The sins, right? Well, what if this was just a movie? It was a serial killer who just went after sloths. Ooh, this is gross. I'm getting weird vibrations now. Should I share these with you? It's a horror film, keep in mind. Okay, now, this is coming to mind right away, so I'm just going to share it. I'm not going to judge the vibe if you don't, because it's just coming from the ether, okay? I'm just noticing it. Not coming from my mind. So, this person who slaughters who he or she believes is a sloth. The people of society. It could be corporate CEOs. It could be just evil politicians. Just the people just really trying to, Wall Street bankers, just the Federal Reserve. Just if you can imagine any sort of institution that's trying to do any sort of oppression, that could be involved. And in addition, those who are allowing themselves to watch the news, the media, to get just slothed. That could be a term, to get slothed. Uh-oh, you've been slothed. Like to get slimed, but you've been slothed by the media. And now you're there, you're stuck. You're there, you're hypnotized. You are there, you're hypnotized. If you have billions of dollars and you have a mindset of wanting to really get people to buy into what you got that you're selling, and to buy into your philosophies and your ideals and all that jazz. Let's say if you had no, kind of like a lawyer. A lawyer, takes criminals and takes non-criminals. They're just there for the money, for the challenge, or whatever is driving them. They're not necessarily there for the ethics. They're just there to do that thing. Or like psychologists, psychiatrists, they're not allowed to reveal, someone who gives away all of this. Okay, so anyway, so imagine you're a billionaire and you own networks, and you own companies, and you own farms, and you own, and you're friends with all of these huge conglomerates, and you're using the world as a chess set, so to speak, as a play set. It is your play set. What are we going to get them to believe? Let's do a little inside joke between three of us, and let's see if the other 6 of us who rule the world. So 6 of us rule the world, basically, through our various conglomerates and stuff like that. So then it becomes a game of risk, a game of stratego. And if it's not us getting harmed, and it's other people, okay, fine, all right. Let's see how we can. Let's use the world as a painting. Let's get them to do this. Let's get them to do that. If I own a network, I will pay the top psychologists. I will pay the top people who know NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I will hire those who know the intricacies of color, of vibrations, of binaural beats, of isochronic tones. I will take into consideration those who are listening to things on their headphones. I will, figure out how to. Jeez, I don't even want to give away any ideas here. I don't even want to give away any ideas. Anyway, there are deep ways, that can go with a mind that really wants to control populace. And everything reflects and reacts off of one another. Your associates have certain agendas. You have certain agendas. And if, you make aliases, or not aliases, what are they called? Alliances with your various aliases. It's the Alias Alliance. That could be an interesting group, the Alias Alliance. Because you always hear how General Mills owns all these different companies. So that's an alliance of aliases. But General Mills is the top head. Or is it? Or is it ultimately Disney? So it's like an oversoul, and then it just...
So, Kurt, it's Maria. Thank you so very much for playing some of my voice out here on these messages. I love interacting on the audio platform. I'm so glad you and I met. And yes, I'm excited about the Kapow Festival coming up. I have to say, also, I just wanted to let everybody know who's listening that I was able to put some of those Kapow interviews on my YouTube channel. It's called Strong Body, Strong Soul on YouTube. And I spent a lot of time editing them down so that they're really fun to listen to and watch. One thing that I keep telling people also is I have been putting some of my podcasting on YouTube, and I fully intend for people to listen to the YouTube, not watch it while they're driving. Safety, people, safety. But entertainment nonetheless.
Yes, I've been listening to the Projecto Radio, Inspirado, Projecto project, and I just want to say that I've really enjoyed it quite a bit. It's brought me quite how do I put this? Much Inspiradio. I think I just coined something. And I just want to thank the makers of this particular specific nondescript radio podcast for their efforts. And I quite enjoy that quite a bit. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I must go. Thank you.
So funny. Hey, this is Annie. Thank you so much for that amazing theme song. I loved it. Please send more. Thank you.
Yowza, yowza, yowza. I just had an extraordinary conversation with my songwriting buddy, fellow surrealist and improviser extraordinaire, Lawrence August. He just called me up about there's something with kids. I've had podcasts about this. This company called Operation Tone Up. It's an after school, well, actually during school kind of program where kids learn about nutrients, they learn about ingredients, they learn about proteins and vitamins and minerals. They learn about all that stuff. They learn about sugars, sodiums, all that jazz, all that razzmatazz. And I've helped out with the music that they've made, that these kids are learning through this program. And so wonderful things are happening with West Virginia. If you guys, so there's a bill that's going to be going through to make it mandatory for this program. Accept the challenge. It's called, let's see, bill, this is the bill, SB 702. SB 702. So I'm going to try to find, let's see, who is the guy? Yeah, so okay, SB 702. Keep that in mind. That's going to be going out there in West Virginia. Just if you can, give him a nudge in that direction of saying yes to this thing, man. If this program were a mandatory thing in that state, this program, I've seen such positivity happen with these kids. These kids love exercising. They love telling you how many carbohydrates are in certain foods and all that stuff. These kids are so knowledgeable, the kids who go through this program. I love it. If that was a mandatory thing that kids had to go through, because now more and more, these schools are cutting away on gym, on physical education. It's bad enough you're cutting away the arts, cutting away the music, then you cut away that too, and then we wonder, how is it that we're raising obese people? Well, you take away their exercise, they're not, there's no energy that's working off the cooking. So, anyway, that is just extraordinary, and I would love to see this happen. I've been to these, the Fittest School Challenge. Check it out on YouTube. Look up Operation Tone Up. Look up Fittest School Challenge. Fittest School Challenge. Look that up on YouTube. And you will see what the heck it's all about. It's astounding. They've been on the news all throughout Arizona, California. They're moving and grooving. It's amazing. There's an entire animated team. The Tone Up team. Flex Protein. Vita Vitamin. Precious Minerals. Ice Water. Fester Fat Cell. Carby. Wait, is that his name? Carby. Carby Charge. Chargy Carb. Chargy. Carby Charge. Chargy Carb. Something like that. Just a lot of fun. Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. What you're about to hear here is the tail end of a conversation I had with Spencer McCall. This is probably part number 5. Spencer McCall is a genius writer, filmmaker. I came across the movie The Institute a while ago, and it's a phenomenal documentary about a very mind-bending world. And I didn't know back then that Spencer McCall had anything to do with that movie. And then during Kapow Intergalactic Film Festival, the film festival I helped put together each year, for 2019, in came a screenplay. It was by Spencer McCall. And then in the biography, because every whenever you enter something in, that we ask you to put a biography so we can kind of see what other kind of stuff you've done, or your credits, whatnot. So what it said in there was that he was the director of the Institute. And I thought, holy moly, this is crazy. I always wondered who it was that was behind the Institute. I never actually actively seeked him out or anything. And then all of a sudden, bam, there he is on my digital front door going, hey, I want to be a part of your film festival. And so then I immediately got a hold of him and I said, we got to have a conversation. So we went to Dupree's over there by the farmer's market. What is that, the Grove? Yeah. And which, by the way, is a side note, the other Dupree's, which is torn down now, the other Dupree's is where David Lynch and Mark Frost hatched up the idea for Twin Peaks. So it was just so befitting that I happened to have an interview with Spencer McCall, who's a very Twin Peaksian type of mind. So what you're about to hear here is the tail end of our conversation. And this year, so he's got another feature film called In Bright Axiom that has never been released. It's not been seen out there in the public, as far as I know. And it's just as an equally mind-bending experience. And so we're going to be the premier festival for that, Kapow 2021. If you're a filmmaker, send your stuff in. Go to kapowiff.com, and then it'll show you on there how you can submit your projects. I would love to meet you in person and see your projects. If you're a podcaster, send your stuff. You're a screenwriter. So turns out that The Institute, that movie, has been kind of looked at by Jason Segel and a few others into making it into a TV show. And it turns out that depending on when you listen to this, you might, it's either... I saw the notice today for the show. Today's the 29th. Today's leap year, actually. Happy leap year. So today, on leap year, I saw that the TV show version of The Institute, which is now changed to Dispatches from Elsewhere. I think that's what it's called, Dispatches from Elsewhere. And so that's actually going to be out, I think, on AMC. I think the AMC channel. But man, I'm just so excited for him. I'm so enthralled for him. You can hear all those other episodes that I did with him on, if you look through the archives on Inspirado Projecto, you'll see him. Or if you just simply search online, look on Google, look for it. Spencer McCall. SpencerMccall. That's how you spell his name. Just marvelous. Dispatches from Elsewhere. So it's coming out either tomorrow, or if you're hearing this episode on tomorrow, then I guess it's coming out today. So it all depends. It all depends on when you hear this. But it'll be out. So yeah, I've been doling out these little pieces of this interview just over time, and so now this is the final one. Here you go. This is the tail end of our interview. Thank you so much for listening. Like when you see the homemade aspects of it, right? When you see the homemade aspect of something peeking through, where you're like, oh, there's a little stitch that's peeking out there. It's not perfectly in there. There's, I see a little bit of the glue there. There's a little bit of the stuffing, where you can kind of see how it was put together. Yeah, a little bit. Like, never try to get me to suspend my disbelief. Right. Sort of like. And obviously, it's really fun to suspend your disbelief, to go watch a superhero movie and be totally like wrapped up in the story. But sometimes it's fun to also watch that superhero movie and then accidentally, like, there's a guy eating a donut who like works at the craft table. Yeah. Even if you don't notice it, the second or third time or after the internet scrutinizes it, to be like, oh, that guy was actually not supposed to be in the shot or something like that. Just Easter eggs, like, constantly. And there's some brilliant Easter eggs in like production design that I'll notice sometimes. Like, I just saw something online where I've seen maybe like 5 of the Marvel movies, and I know there's like 50, but I saw one and it was from a movie I didn't know, but it was the Thor guy. I guess he loses his eye at some point, but like earlier in the movie, or even it might have been a previous movie, there's like a portrait of him falls on the ground and like his eye gets like cut, and it's just like one of those things in the background. It's like a foreshadowing. Yeah. Just those moments are really cool. Mm-hmm. And how do you do foreshadowing in the real world? I don't know. Well, that's what's beautiful about that reverse engineering kind of aspect, because then you can always see what's so beautiful about history is that it can always be explained by anybody at any time. There can always be any amount of flashback material that is, that can then link in whatever this thing is, and now it makes that portrait that's in that room so much more important to look at now that you know the history behind that and how it got there. Totally. Whereas that story wasn't even there before, but now you're writing it in, and now it becomes something else that someone else is talking about and something else. Yeah, I'm really interested in like revisionist history, whether it's for the good or the bad, but just the idea that there are huge swaths of things that are sort of erased, and the potential to like rewrite history in the future based on like the winds of the current attitude. I don't know. Well, kind of, to go along with what you were saying earlier about, if you can create something like the Latitude Society, and that's an imagination, and all these people are, attaching these meanings, these beliefs, these certain things to this thing that you just made up imaginatively. Just like you said before, imagine what the heck with all these religions and all those things that went along that people, still kill each other over and all that stuff. And it's like, well, what if those were just made up by very good storytellers? If we got pranksters like ourselves doing stuff out there in the media, like the Alan Abels of the world, doing those kinds of things out there in the media, well, way back then, before they actually had, phones to record the truth of what's going on, anybody, any trickster at any point, someone who is mischievous, could have gone, boop, 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 here's what happened, then they print that up in the newspaper, or they write that down in the scroll, or... Yep. I mean, gosh.
Well, yeah. Or just even thinking about, Plato alluding to, the sunken land of Atlantis, and, that has caused so many freaking people in the world to, go off looking for this thing, and I'm sure, I don't know, maybe there was an Atlantis or something, but, I don't know, I think about that sometimes as 1,000 or, 100,000 years from now when they're archaeologists are, figuring out what's going on. I don't know if access to the internet will still be available, so everything you're just putting online, might not be super available, but everything you do in the real world, that might have more long-lasting effects than you might think, and one of those could be Plato dicking around talking about, Atlantis, and now all of a sudden we have submarines and actual giant funded expeditions to go looking for Atlantis. It's I don't know. Kurt,
you got to bust out of here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This was awesome.
Thank you so much for talking with me, and this was so cool to hear the behind the scenes and your upcoming projects, and thanks for sharing that stuff with me. And this is so great because this goes out to Spotify and TuneIn and 40 other podcast distribution things.
Cool. I'll repost it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll forward it to you when it's done.
Beautiful.
Dude, thanks so much for coming out, man. This is so great.
And thanks
so
for
great
putting 9/11 in, dude.
Absolutely.
What else you got going on besides all the organization for the festival right now?
Shoot. You know what? I don't have it. I want to. Damn, I don't have any cards of. I'm in a yacht rock band called Yachtly Crew.
Are you?
You got to check
That's
it out
awesome.
sometime. It's so much fun. Yachtly Crew.
Did you ever watch the web series about yacht rock?
I did.
God,
It's so good. And that just started the whole genre.
So do you do
Christopher Cross and
Michael McDonald, Christopher Cross, Toto, Billy Ocean. I mean, it's just
Steely Dan.
Yeah, Steely Dan, Reeling in the Years, Peg. Oh man, it's so great. I mean, it's a trip down memory lane for some of these people.
That's awesome.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. I kind of like that music.
Yeah, it's great. The soft rock classics.
I could be so lucky as to be a middle-aged, overweight guy in my 60s with a boat and just jamming out to Jimmy Buffett or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Or we get trapped.
Well, listen, I just realized that I previously, the setup to that little segment there, I called the place Dupree's, and that's just not right at all. It's called Dupar's. You Google that into the search engine, Dupar's, David Lynch, Frost, Mark Frost. You will see that is where the idea hatched, which is just great. Because I've, on a number of occasions, I've been able to hang out there with Jeff Finn. He's a fellow Twin Peakster. Fellow peaker. I gotta tell you, as often as possible, when you're creating, get near nature, and or at the very least get near an open window that's got air flowing through, because whoa, just when you smell that fresh air, the wind, you can smell right now there's that hint of like laundry scent. It's just whoosh, going past. Is that interesting? Wow, isn't it interesting how a smell can just give you this vibe of a culture or some sort of I'm imagining like a fantasy land, like a Middle Earth type of thing. I'm sure there are those scents, and sometimes these scents, they trigger these, the deja vu. Sometimes they trigger the a dream that I recently had that I just cannot seem to remember what that actually was, but it goes, and there's a little piece, and it plants it in my brain, and I remember it. There's a little grappling hook back there. See, the universe said yes. When the universe does that, and you pay attention to that, that's the universe being in sync with you, in synchronicity with you. It's beautiful. It happened much sooner than I expected. That's awesome. And then when you pay attention to that, you start noticing your environment starting to echo, starting to reflect. It's almost like the bigger you allow your imagination to go, the more far out there you will hear in the distance, and or even closer. Maybe it's like one of those things like hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Maybe the more deep. See, now I'm feeling more of the wind coming through. I'm seeing more of the trees, the antenna tree, the ever famous antenna tree. I was talking to the antenna tree earlier today. I used to have a lot more conversations with the antenna tree. Now I look at the antenna tree from just such a state of awe. I've seen this creature grow through the years, right up outside my balcony. I got to enjoy this stuff as it's happening to me right now, no matter what the life situation is, because I don't know if this has ever happened to you. I remember having jobs that I had back in the day, and I remember talking with my friends about this later on, about the jobs that we had back in the day, and going, man, and reminiscing and going, man, what the heck? Why didn't we really just ease into that job and really reside in that moment and in those moments we were having? Because we've got so many fun stories. I realize that a lot of times I've got my mind forward into the future. A lot of times I've got my mind forward in the future. And I realize that I'm not required to keep my mind in the future, because what happens then is that potentially I could miss out on all of the stuff that happens right here in front of me. A lot of times that does, because a lot of times I'm moving with a I almost said inertia. Why the hell not? I'll just say inertia. Where I'm going someplace or I'm doing something to get it done. I'm going someplace to go there. I'm doing this thing to get it done. And I'm learning to more celebrate the things that I create. The things that flow through me. I'm learning more about embracing that and really celebrating it, because a lot of times I don't give myself a celebration for a completion of a project. Does that mean that I don't value it? Is every valuable thing that really means a lot to us, is it required? How many celebrations is it required to have? How often are those celebrations required to happen? That's an interesting question. So then we can start to get into that utilizing relationships. When we talk about value systems, we have certain value systems, and we apply that towards how we feel at a job, how we feel towards something, how we eat, all these things that give us pleasure in any particular fashion. Sex, driving fast, riding a bike, walking a dog, playing frisbee with a dog, playing with a laser and a cat, doing gymnastics, jumping into a crash mat, cannonballing into a pool, all those things, all those pleasurable things, the value systems that we place on those. Reminds me of those bumper stickers you see on cars. Would rather be fishing. My other car is a boat. Would rather be fishing. There's this idea of I would rather be someplace else than here. What is that place that you'd rather be? What is it? And when you are even close to that place, do you allow yourself to celebrate it? And also, let's say you land in that spot. Let's say you'd rather be in Hawaii surfing. When you're there, how deep in it are you? A lot of times we see people feel pleasure in certain things that they've got going on. And I think the thing is that a lot of times we feel that we there's this idea of wanting to have that particular thing. Let's say we see a billboard with someone just having a time of their life, riding on a motorcycle, just having a time of their life. Well, now what becomes associated with that motorcycle? The time of their life, that feeling, that vibe that is stamped into that motorcycle, into that ad. And then so when we see someone really enjoying ice cream, well, how much are they really feeling the pleasure? How much are they playing up the pleasure? How much of it is a showmanship? Why do people get a kick out of seeing other people suffer? Or why do people get a kick out of saying in your face, type of thing of like, ha ha ha, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. At what point are you satisfied with being the best? And then at what point are you okay with someone else having the mantle, up there up on a shelf? At what point are you okay with throwing someone a bone, allowing them that opportunity? So it's a value system. The value of that ice cream. If we only see that one person enjoying that so much, maybe it's a band, and they really enjoy that band, and they really get satisfaction out of that band, does that entice you to want to listen in on that band? Because maybe you're listening going, what are those elements about this band that are really digging, that this person is really digging right now? What are those elements that maybe I could enjoy as well? And then maybe once you get into that groove of enjoying that, now you're enjoying it with that other person. Would we rather have people who are enjoying things with us because they actually enjoy it, or because they want to impress us because they're enjoying it too, or because they want to enjoy it because we are enjoying it? Or is it a culmination of all those? I remember I used to show, there were certain movies that I would show, or bands that I would play for girlfriends through the years, girls that I was dating. I'd play Rushmore. I'd play Radiohead, OK Computer. There were just certain, Elliott Smith, I think Elliott Smith was one of them. David Lynch movies. It was like a litmus test. Like, okay, what are they cool with? And then it gave me that idea of like, okay, cool. I like this. This is a good mind that I could play with, to be a part of, that I could collaborate this thing on. So there's that satisfaction in wanting to share it with someone. And when you see it in the world popping up in the world where it becomes more and more commonplace, something that used to be a subculture, like comic book geeks, in a sense, they're a subculture. They were made fun of. But then once they got more and more power, you see more and more of them, you feel less and less inclined to make fun of them. Or do you? At what point, what's the tipping point in which people feel okay to make fun of cultures? Well, you haven't gotten kicked around in a while. Let's really give you the smacking of balls for a decade. You guys haven't gotten made fun of enough. Let's do that. But it's interesting how a lot of these subcultures suddenly they rise to the top. Who'd have thought that language like gigabytes, megabytes, all of that would just be commonplace language? Who would have thought that would just be commonplace language? Well, it rose through the ranks. It's kind of like every dog has its day type of thing. So it's that value system. When you see someone going, I got the new iPhone 10, there's that value in it, because then you see the billboards and they're like, look at the photos that this takes, look at the videos that this takes. This is real deal here, folks. You want this thing. Well, and then people forget that they're not even using they barely use those things, or they barely have any of the data. They're like, well, now it has 1 terabyte of data in your iPhone. Well, my last iPhone had 500 gigabytes of data, and I used up 10 gigabytes. It's just this idea. It's a bigger TV. It's so interesting. These are things to really investigate. Mad Magazine really helps us to see beyond that type of thing. Gives us a good lens. The movie They Live, another good one. Another movie, I think it's called Parallel. I gotta see it again. These are just good movies to watch. I know I've talked about these, raved about these a lot, but they just help you get into the mindset of seeing what, looking through things through particular lenses and seeing what you see. It's no different than a filter that you put on Instagram or something like that. Certain filter. TikTok, they got certain voice filters. They got raindrops that can fall through the sky. They can make it look like a 70s television. There's certain filters you can run it through. So what kind of filter are you running your life through? Are you running your media through? Is it making you feel good? Is it helping you feel satisfied in your moments? Is it helping you feel empowered in your decision-making process and your intuition, following your intuition? Do you feel good about following your intuition? Or do you surround yourself with people who you never get a chance to follow your intuition with because they're always the ones making the decisions? And they're always the ones saying, I told you so. Isn't that interesting? So, are you one of those kinds of people? Or are you a person who follows your heart? I mean, listen, that smell, that fresh air. And then you value what you value because you value it. When you really start looking at the domino effects of how it gets to be to where it's at, it really starts exploding your brain, doesn't it? Or really starts just blammo. You know what I mean?
Searching for what to write about, and I saw this documentary about this thing, and I was like, oh my god, this is it. This is what I'm going to write about. So I called this secret Willy Wonka figure who put this whole thing on.
The person who originally created this sort of anonymous art.
Yes, it was very hard to track him down, and I was told, like, good luck getting him to agree to this. So I gave him the pitch of what I wanted to do, and he said, not yet, and hung up on me.
Meaning not yet, I don't want to tell you
I had
about
no idea. I had no idea what not yet meant. Then I found out. Like a month later, I got an email with a location and a time in San Francisco.
That's all it said.
All it said. Location, time.
Had you given this guy your email?
No.
I'm not sure if I would have gone.
Yeah. I had nothing to lose.
Wow.
So I drove up the coast of California, and I showed up at this location. It was a hotel. And I walked in, and they said, we've been expecting you, Mr. Siegel. Super creepy. And yeah, it really was. And I got up to the room, and there was a note on the bed with another time and location for the next day, and a note that said, no one is going to make you feel stupid. And at that
So you get to the room, there's no one from this group to meet you. Just the hotel says we've been expecting you, Mr. Siegel.
Yes.
And you go to the room that they've got for you. There's a note there, and the note says go someplace else tomorrow.
Series of
Get the hell out of there.
No, I refused to get the hell out of there.
Okay, yeah.
And so I showed up the next day.
You weren't nervous at all?
Yeah, you know what? I was nervous, but that little note, no one is going to make you feel stupid, made me feel really safe. Like, this is good. This is good. What's happening? And because that's everyone's big fear, right? That's why we don't try things, because we're afraid we're going to look stupid.
I show up feeling pre-stupid.
Yeah. No, tell me about it. So then I showed up the next day, and I was put through this crazy Carmen Sandiego style induction, which I profile in the show. That's what I ended up writing about. And I felt like a kid again. I felt like I was on this crazy adventure. I lost my sense of self-consciousness and identity until at one point I had to walk into this bar, working bar, and go up and say like a password, the crow flies at midnight. And then they were going to give me my next clue. So I went in, I was so nervous. I said, the crow flies at midnight? And they said, yes, it does. They handed me a thing. And then I'm walking out feeling like so cool. And then I hear, wait a minute. I've seen you naked in the movies. And all of a sudden I was back to reality. But that little moment of feeling like a kid again reminded me of this thing that's like available to all of us that, I don't know, there's a lot blocking that feeling. And so the show maybe attempts for an hour a week to unblock that.
Wow. No, in the clip that we saw, you're talking about you felt that there was real magic.
Yeah.
There was real magic. Has magic been something that you've always been like actual like
I did
sort of
when I
sleight
was
of
a kid.
hand? You did that.
Yeah, well, I really liked feeling like I had a secret that nobody knew about. I was obsessed with magic when I was young. My favorite place on earth was the magic store at Disneyland, but it got ruined for me at one point. I was a very obedient child. I like to do what my parents told me.
Really?
Yeah. So we were at Disneyland, and I said I'd like to go to the magic store. I was 10 years old. And I said, sure, you can go to the magic shop, but we're going to get sweatshirts next door. Do not leave the magic shop. So I said, okay, no problem. So I went in there, and I really had to urinate, and my parents weren't coming back, so I was waiting and starting to shake and sweat, and I couldn't help it, and I just wet my pants in the middle of the Disneyland magic shop, and I'm standing there just humiliated, waiting for my parents to come, and then this old lady came in. And she was walking over my puddle, and then my parents came, and I heard the lady behind the counter call the cleanup, and she said, "We need you in the magic shop. Some old lady wet her pants." And I never told anybody that it was me. So sorry now to the old lady.
Yeah. You did the right thing.
Thank you.
You did the right.
You know something, people?